Come on down. You can just sit right down here. Yeah, just sit right down here. You can bring these right up.
Move the board, move the lights over, so you can rest there down there.
Yeah. There, you can turn one around. There we go. And could you please state your name and address for the record?
Mike Malda, Holmes King Colquist and Associates,
Okay.
575 North Salina Street, Syracuse.
Okay. Welcome. For the edification of all, our jurisdiction here is the Landmark Preservation Board is to comment. Floor is yours, sir.
All right, this is a beautiful Queen Anne home that my client is going to be substantially rehabilitating. We'll be redoing interiors, salvaging, and reinstalling existing trim that remains. This building went through a substantial rehab in 1990, 1992. And at that point, the majority of the windows were removed, the original doors were removed, a lot of the original flooring was taken out. So those elements that still exist, we're going to salvage, store, and then reinstall afterwards. I've already been through the house with the general contractor and we've tagged everything so that the interiors are perfectly clear on what stays and goes. On the exterior, the biggest change is going to be on the one front porch. This porch was added, we think, during the 92 renovation. It's clearly not original, and it's pretty much the biggest wart on the entire building.
Okay.
So
We know about warts.
we are going to give it a bit of a facelift, put a more substantial column, something more appropriate, but clearly new construction, but just a little more sympathetic to the original character of the building. We're also going to be maintaining all of the clapboard shingles, the various types of decorative shingles, redoing the wood trim that's been damaged to match the existing. So on the exterior,
Mike, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Can I ask you a question on the porch that you were just
sure.
The door shows a relocation, is that correct? Am I reading that?
Yes, I was able to find the 1992 drawings and what was turned into a solid wall on the side,
West elevation?
on the west elevation. It was infilled. I'm going to open that up again and put a door back where.
So you believe the original door was to the left in that room?
We know there was an opening there, whether it was a door or a window, but we know there was an opening, and since we know that wasn't the primary way to get in, we did want to make the front door something dramatic and, you know, fake history.
Pardon me?
Disney-fied history.
No, I was just concerned with the originality of it, and now you're saying that the renovated scheme will not have a door in that location, right? I mean, not fronting the street.
It won't be fronting the street. We don't believe a door ever fronted that street. We think the west elevation was the original entry point, and that has since been obliterated through various additions.
And I'm sorry for catching up on this, I just happened to notice this as you were speaking. Let me just check one other elevation. So the side view of that porch entry is actually would be the original. Right elevation is the west elevation, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so you'll have the door in that as it's
So we'll have a door shown there, yes.
3.2, 2.3, thank you. Excellent, thank you.
Yes, we're also going to be redoing the color scheme. We're not 100% certain that this blue-green scheme is exactly appropriate or original. So what we're proposing is something more in line with the historic colors of the time. We'll be replacing all the windows with fiberglass windows as we had explained to SHPO. We'll be doing those in white because we do believe the windows were originally white. There are several original windows and stained glass windows where we can chip away and see that there was a white finish.
Mike, you said fiberglass, not vinyl?
Yes.
And I think your application had vinyl in it?
We're going to go with the fiberglass because that's what we had told SHPO originally.
Very good. Thank you.
Excellent.
Don't want to go through changing that. We have enough,
Are you in receipt of the ship a letter dated March 5th?
yes,
Yeah, he provided it, he provided it to us.
yes. They were satisfied with the scope of work until the carriage house came into play. And because we're requesting to demolish it, that's why we have a adverse report.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, I'm very pleased about the windows.
I'm looking forward to seeing the stained glass ones restored.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Real nice. Any questions? I would suggest that, I'll speak for the board and somebody chip in if you don't. With the SHPO letter and the, rescinding of their prior no adverse effect due to the demolition of the carriage house, so that you could move forward, would you wanna separate this application and have the main house be one?
If
and
that's possible, yes, we would really like to keep
that way
this
you can
on track.
keep going.
And then,
Because we would agree with SHPO's position on
Yeah.
carriage house.
yes, and I've been speaking with the owner, and we're considering making the carriage house watertight, doing some patching and repair, fencing off the back so that no one can climb on the roof.
Right.
Maybe some temporary shoring, and then just repaint the exterior.
Okay.
Our budget is already fixed
Yeah.
due to the funding system, so we can't include that in the project, but I believe they're able to make some attempt to
you're-
maintain.
Could you note that for Kate to follow through on, that we're gonna separate the application and take the carriage house out?
And essentially, that means the review we've just done for the house itself.
Just on the house, that's,
Those are our comments
our
relative to
comments will
the
be
house.
just on the house, and we'll note in our comments that the applicant is separating the application, and you'll be coming back.
Yes.
Because you'll probably have to come back with a new project site review on just what you're doing.
Just on the carriage house, yes.
Just to respond to the carriage house, your report as a walkthrough done only on February 18th was quite thorough and gave me a very good visual picture as well as your photographs. There are obviously significant structural
Yes,
damage to just about every component.
yes,
So
I think the last time I walked through it was,
The checkerboarding of the step
Yes.
cracks and the masonry, both foundation and brickwork. However, the form of it is, and
It's
the basic
spectacular.
character of it is quite unique. And with obviously bucks, it looks like the shell that's enough recoverable, the whole shell as
Yes.
a form. Can be
yes,
repaired.
it was very well built.
So very positive to retaining that. Thank you.
All right, any other comments on the house then?
I just have a question. Do you know who designed the house originally?
We don't.
It almost looks like it could have been RP's.
It almost
has
looks like it.
a number of characteristics that you can attribute to him, but we haven't found anything in the historic files to
Nothing.
confirm that.
Just curious, thank you.
Yeah.
Have you been to SHPO? I'm sorry,
OHA.
Our contract didn't preclude that much historic investigation, but more on the private side, I was digging in.
Make an inquiring phone call and plant the seed in their heads. You never know. Thank you.
Okay, any other comment? Otherwise, my guess is that our comments will be in support with the note of separating the application.
Sorry, just one other question. Roofing material, did you show a sample? What's your intent for the roofing material?
It's going to be architectural shingles, asphalt shingles,
The pewter gray.
pewter gray.
Thanks, yes, I did see it, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, on some of the low slopes, we'll be doing a membrane roof because it's such a shallow pitch, but the majority of the visible roof will be shingled.
Thank you.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much.
Great project.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's nice to see you.
Terrific
Good to
salvage.
see the blue go.
Look forward to seeing that corner brightened up.
Yeah, it's a great house on a corner. Those
Absolutely.
are significant buildings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, there's a discussion phase, pre-development discussion of 431 South Warren. Gentlemen,
How are you? Welcome, Jim.
please give us your name and names and address for the record.
Sure, Jim Middle in Architects, 239 East Water Street.
Anthony Rojas in Architects, 239 East Water.
Welcome both.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Okay.
Congratulations on your new firm, founding your new firm, what, the first of the year was it, or thereabouts, or just before?
How do you survive
luck.
that bagel store downstairs every day?
We were just there.
Yeah.
Very popular place.
Okay, well, the floor is yours.
We had a client that comes in with donuts. so
Oh,
they
geez.
go on to Vegas, so
Yeah.
we can't.
Yeah. Okay, again, for the board, this is a discussion phase, no vote will be taken on anything, so, gentlemen, it's yours.
Well, we're working with, a client to put a restaurant in at 431 South Warren, and, it's kind of a fun, scalable option interior, that's just built out inside. We wanted to do something that popped out a little bit on the street. There's so much foot traffic now, Warren Street is just, over the past 2 years, not so nice down there, so. But we realized that, coming down that have feelings for this particular building, and it is, I guess, the only art motive facade in Syracuse.
Yes.
The timing on it is a little funny. I mean, 1947 is kind of past the age of that. And, when local architects kind of pick up on stuff, sometimes it's interest on, some property that was,
Yeah.
over in Turnbull,
Yeah.
with Sea Ranch in the 60s, and the diagonal siding through 85.
Yeah, there was a time lag in some
Yeah,
styles,
yeah.
yes.
So,
And taste, no, we.
So, we're just here to have a discussion of,
Okay.
what you were gonna be, able to do, everything, we're really just applying something, we're not, the actual storefront that's there is gonna stay, we're just coming in with a new skin on here, and.
So all the
our
openings,
intention-
all the windows, all the
window
doors,
openings,
everything's gonna stay.
and our intention is just to apply something, 10 years down the road, if it's, changes, everything behind that.
What is the condition of what's there in terms of
The tile that's on one side, above, down below, is in pretty good shape. I don't know how much of it is exact, is original to 1947. I know the actual storefront, aluminum glass has been replaced.
Right.
That band that you see up there, about 10 feet up there, there was something else behind that, that's been covered up, that's more.
I think it used to be an awning, a retractable awning, but I'm not 100% sure.
There was a bigger awning, some of the pictures showed at the main entrance, the awning actually hung out onto the street a little further. That's been cut back, and that whole band has been reclad on some point.
Right.
And probably needs, obviously, this is two separate buildings.
But it reads as one.
Yeah.
It does
And
not.
that's why it's significant in our city. And as soon as you bump up over that datum line, you've changed the read of the whole building. It no longer reads as an Art Moderne building. I think that datum line is very important to the read of the building. You're also covering up the terracotta tile, which is, yeah, I mean, maybe you can cover it without hurting it, but I don't know that you can, and I'd be very concerned about that.
Yeah,
That was part of my question. It was, any chance that they would leave it,
We bought
the tile?
behind.
Not reskin the front of the building at all? Just stay with what's there?
Yeah.
You know what, I understand the style of it,
Right.
but it's really bland. We've been walking by that building for 30 years now.
Okay. See this datum, yes.
We need something that's gonna pop out. We need something that's gonna
Thanks for coming in for the discussion phase. This is why we're here, the discussion phase, so we can talk about these issues of what it has been. Do you have the reading of the designation, so you know how that was written? Do you have the designation of the building? But you have read it and you reviewed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cynthia does.
Yeah.
So my point there is, how has your exterior responded to the defining characteristics of this exterior? That would be my
That's the question.
primary question. And would you like to answer it, or do you want me to go on as general discussion?
I'll answer
Yeah.
you in that we haven't really given much regard to
Right,
the building itself.
and that's what I read here, and I understand the goal of a new facade and the purpose of a new facade, especially in a commercial world. But I think my view and my advice in a discussion phase would be that the character of the building is primary, its primary quality. It is absolutely unique, and I don't have any problem with the white brick, but I would fully utilize that on the interior and peek through the facade wall. They used to have this discussion with Conjo 40 years ago. It's not about dressing up just the front. You want people to look into the product you're selling. And he used to put all of the gingerbread houses and stuff on the fronts of his storefronts. And at my, right, well, we probably paid some of our fees that way. But my point here is that this window that we see here existing, looking into a brilliant white brick, in other words, all the joy would be to get people in, put all of your detailing and juice to your design just inside that facade and peek through it. Then do something with your signage on the exterior that brings that out as a tease, whether it's a sign, a perpendicular that comes out, or a tongue. We'd have to review that, of course. But play through that window to bring people in and retain as much of the exterior for the whole building, which becomes your restaurant. And that's kind of a different point of view.
Yeah.
It's your billboard.
We, Anthony can speak to this as well. The interior does, bring in some of the same
Right.
materials and, we modeled it essentially.
Right, looks a great model. It's a great model.
Do you have interiors?
No.
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 We should walk you, we've taken the client through the virtual.
I bet they love it. So have you sold them this dreamy tortellini? I bet you they'd love it.
It's
That's tough.
it's all
Well,
about the owner's wishes.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of pushed towards doing something that sets them apart from its existing exterior conditions. Something that'll call a little more attention from a street presence aspect. And they really haven't fully committed to this location based on, the inability to do something different that draws that attention, especially to a brand new restaurant,
Right.
location. And really one of the reasons we broke that datum vertically was just to have that signage presence at their storefront, because there really is no space between the top of that storefront and that datum line.
Well, let me just go on with a couple concepts and I'll back out. Unfortunately, being an architect and designer, I have those types of ideas.
Yeah.
If you look at the total building and you see the 5 ribbons, the 5 dividers of yellow on the second floor between the windows, if that was inside the window, back 5 or 6 feet, or referred to that pattern back into it, almost as a transparent set of walls that you walked around, or it was part of the interior, you'd be using that outside element to look into it. Then have one perpendicular flag type sign that did the job walking down the street of seeing it a block away, half a block away, whatever, and keep the exterior as intact as you possibly can. And that would be not raising the horizontal as harness,
Cynthia.
and not changing the material. Trying to.
And I wonder if there's a possibility of maintaining it horizontal and still positive on it.
Well, I was gonna ask that, I don't know how the rest of the board thinks of that, but if you went above that data line.
Right.
With signage.
The data line is pretty low.
Yeah, but if you went above that, I mean, would the property owner let you do something above
Property
that?
owner would let do
Anything,
pretty
right?
much anything.
What's he doing with the second floor above you?
There's a park.
Department of.
But does he have the windows in? He doesn't have the windows in yet, does he?
No.
No. And we've seen his previous plans,
Yeah, I know exactly.
because those 5 yellow, or they're actually orange
I mean,
tile
is
places.
his
up above.
intention, I'm trying to remember, is his intention to put windows in?
Yes, and they're square. We
Yeah.
went through this.
Yeah, right,
We
right.
went through different types of windows.
There's like awnings.
But 2 sets of 2 because of living room and bedroom combinations.
Right, but I don't think there were windows
Conflict there.
lower than this window length.
I don't
No.
think so.
And I don't think he has any intention at this point. So, I think with such a broad, expansive blank wall there,
Yep.
maybe if we can find a way to incorporate the data.
Yeah, I think that'd be the better way, and then as Bob said, leave the skin alone as much as possible.
And we might actually go a little higher.
Let me make another suggestion. If you took this, I keep referring to the 5, and they're orange ceramic tile, it's a glazed tile, I think.
Right.
If you use those as your sign element, bring 3 of them down, or 4 if they fit, over your storefront, and have them go out as a flag sign. In other words, use that element to draw. I'm trying to reverse the process. I'm trying to sign your brand new place with the significance of the building.
Right.
Somehow, and then keep the datum and put 3 of these above it as a sign.
Yeah.
Something like that, so that you're using the building to to identify your storefront.
Maintain the datum or put the storefront name, or the restaurant name above that in an aluminum or something.
And it could be not on the building, but on those flags, not on how the flags are gonna go. I'm just thinking that could work as a pattern.
Yeah, you'd have, what's the city code? Do you remember the city code? I'm trying to remember.
For
So many square feet.
sign
Yeah, it's so many
Linear
square feet
feet.
a sign per,
linear foot.
Yeah,
but you got a lot of linear footage here, so.
yeah.
Well, again,
Any other comments?
The sculpture is great too. I like the sculpture.
We don't wanna turn the facade into a billboard. But,
A part of it into a sign might be
but
appropriate.
we definitely need some more of a presence than just that.
But you've created a billboard though.
So I think you're hearing what the board is saying, that the datum line is important. And, as far as the skin, ideally it'd be left alone. But we would certainly be open to some sort of signage above the datum line.
Is the tile immediately around the storefront? Is that all original as well?
Yeah,
Or?
that's what he said he didn't know.
Yeah, it's in good shape, but I don't know.
I don't either. I don't either. It looks like it is, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But changing the color and putting on the white,
Yeah,
tile changes again
changes the building.
the building. The building should be read as one sleek thing,
And
and
the rest of it
suddenly
has
it's
been
not.
maintained, and I would agree with Cynthia.
I think your answer's in the building, not something different. That's just
And we certainly appreciate a tenant's desires, we all do. Yet at the same time, this is what it is. So, any other questions, or?
Well, again, I would love the dazzle of your interior being what people look right through it into, and that's where they wanna go.
In terms of, I guess, if you could point us in the direction of, in terms of the historical kind of, color palette based on this type of architecture. Everything that I've kind of pulled up to this point are either light creams, whites, and that kind of color palette. This almost seems like it stands apart in this terracotta color as it's.
But we need to stay with it because
that's why
that
we
is
gotta
the
stay with
historic.
Yeah, that's why.
No, I think you're absolutely correct, that that's part of the uniqueness of this particular building.
Actually, the storefronts of New York, the black glass came before and after. The black glass went into the 50s, but it started in the 20s. And then the terracotta happened, so there's a continuity of those two materials through this whole modern style. Just, as far as the color, you're right, it's fairly unique.
It is.
However, it's been done elsewhere.
It is a strange
It's a real brick-colored terracotta.
Yeah.
You know? Pretty amazing.
But if you're looking for more resources, call Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they're white.
There was a fantastic parking lot entrance down across from the Hotel Syracuse on Warren Street. That was a very 1920s horizontal with a car in there. Looks like Corbu did it. It's absolutely spectacular. And it was just an archway to go into it. In that way, some way. The space of it and the design inside could be that kind of great thing.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks for coming in, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Looking forward to it.
Best of luck.
Anything else? Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Structural condition, oh yeah, that was on this.
Talking about design, did you all see the new design of the new
Yes, the $19 million car. Did you order it?
$19 million?
I heard you were the one that bought it. Oh, we riding it?
One
One
off,
Yep.
they won't disclose who bought it, but $19 million.